Welcome back in, everyone, to the Scramble Drill Fantasy Podcast. We are talking Dynasty. We are talking tight ends and quarterbacks today. Little bit of a sort of different episode. Contract disputes, personal attacks, and uh, office, budget cuts. It's just me today. Hopefully, the rest of us we will have figured out our contracts and everything by the next week, so we'll have Landon and Josh back then. But just me for now. So I figured with both of them out, we still got to come up with something, and we haven't talked about tight ends and quarterbacks yet. So I figured, who better to go over it than me? All jokes aside, I hopefully will learn something this one. This is interesting because the tight end and quarterback class, the tight end class is very good. We'll start with that. But the quarterback class is kind of viewed as bad, and I get it. I don't necessarily disagree. It's not as strong as we have had in the past, but I still think it's interesting, and I actually think we might be getting to where you could actually get some values at quarterback in this draft with guys slipping so far because it's not a very exciting quarterback class. There's no incredible prospects, but there's not nothing either. So it's interesting so far. So we'll get into it here. Probably going to be a shorter episode, less obviously because there's less conversation. It's just me, but hopefully I can get you some maybe interesting takes, and we'll see where everything goes. First, got a little bit of news. A few things have happened. We'll probably go more in depth on the first one when we get the guys back in, but I'll still talk about it. Give my quick thoughts. Stephon Diggs signed a 3-year deal with the Patriots, up to $69 million. Not nothing money. Pretty good deal for Stephon Diggs. His agent is working some magic getting him that kind of deal coming off an ACL injury. Pretty good, I think, for the Patriots. The Patriots really need help at receiver. I'm surprised they have done literally nothing before this to address it. And I don't know if, and they could draft Ted McMillan or somebody, I guess, with their fourth overall pick, but I just don't see them taking a receiver that high. So Diggs could very easily be their wide receiver one heading into the season, which would be great for him. Probably keeping him in the wide receiver two area, really good for Drake May. And helping him develop, assuming Stephon Diggs can keep his head on straight, which we know as football fans can sometimes be a problem, but we'll see. I actually really like this. I think it's good for Diggs' dynasty. I mean, you got him probably another 2 years, so you feel good if your receiver that you just lost, or maybe you bought him for nothing as a throw in, which is great. So hopefully that's good news there. Russell Wilson signs with the Giants. RIP to the Malik Neighbors fantasy wide receiver one with Jamison Williams hype. That train picked up so much steam so fast and died so quickly. Not that Malik Neighbors can't be the wide receiver one for fantasy. Not saying that. He would have been for sure if Jameis Winston was the quarterback, but uh, we all know Jameis Winston ain't starting 16, 17 games. But Russell Wilson is interesting. I'm an idiot and didn't put the numbers here. I think it's like 10 million guaranteed. It's worth up to 20 something $1 million, depending on how things go. It's a 1-year deal. We'll see what happens. And I think he's an upgrade from anything they've had. So we'll see. I like it for the Giants. I like it for Russell Wilson because you know he's got a starting job somewhere at least. And the last one, Trey McBride, doesn't he got a 4-year, $76 million deal extension, 43 million guaranteed. Does not change anything for him for fantasy. He stays exactly where he is. He was a top 2 tight end. We've been saying on this show, if you don't have Brock Bowers or Trey McBride, you don't have a tight end to build on in Dynasty. So him having a 4-year deal, that just more assures and makes you feel a little bit better. I don't really know how you could have felt better because he was awesome. He was already, yeah, it's fine. But either way, great news for Trey McBride. Happy for him. Guy deserves it. Yeah. All right. So let's jump into the rookie tight ends here. If I can flip through my pages that I've got. All right. So this rookie tight end class, the most of what I see mocks and people in the fantasy and in football like no world, they say there's probably going to be two tight ends taken in the first round, which is really exciting. Does not happen this often. The one of the times I can think of recently that we've had it, 2017, you had O.J. Howard and Evan Ingram winning the first round, and in 2019, you had T.J. Hawkinson and Noah Fant winning the first round. So that's really exciting. Another callback that we'll be talking later throughout this next month leading up to the draft about the 2017 class. Landon has come up with some pretty good ideas for talking about that and comparing that because of the running backs. But they also had two first round tight ends, which is really interesting. So another comparison to the 2017 draft class. So we'll see, if they end up going there. But that's, I guess, another thing just to keep in mind with this draft is people talk about it like it's a down year for the draft. It's still not. You got two tight ends that are potentially looking at first round draft capital, which is super exciting. Like, that's going to put them instantly in the mid first round of mid to late first in rookie drafts. And in tight end premium leagues, maybe even a little bit higher depending on landing spots. So, we'll see. That's really exciting. I'll jump into my tight end one. I don't know how the other guys feel about it. I would assume I think Josh kind of feels the same as me at least. Tyler Warren is our tight end one, at least my tight end one. Super versatile, very athletic. Reminds me a little bit of T.J. Hawkinson, as in he's not the quickest side to side laterally, but he's got really good straight line speed. I think he's faster than T.J. Hawkinson. He looks faster than T.J. Hawkinson ever did. But he just can get vertical. He's a good enough blocker to stay on the field. Uh, Junior season was absolutely insane. He had 135 targets, 104 catches, 1,230 yards, 8 touchdowns. Just a monster year for Tyler Warren. His junior year, 91.3 PFF grade. I mean, I'm looking at these junior year stats. Kyle Pitts, who was, and I still would probably argue, modern stuff aside, because Kyle Pitts, if you listen to this show, I mean, I've been super high on him his whole career, but obviously he's the butt of all jokes now, myself included, saying those. He only had 77 or 770 yards his junior year, which was his best year at Florida. Now he had 12 touchdowns, but touchdowns are kind of fluky. And Brock Bowers, when he was fully healthy, now 2023, which was Bowers' junior year at Georgia, he got injured, so he didn't play the full year. But the fully healthy year Brock Bowers had, which was in 2022, he didn't have 1,000 yards. He also never hit double-digit touchdowns either, which is not why the 8 touchdowns for Brock Bowers, or for Tyler Warren, doesn't really scare me off that much. The guy just he's an incredible vertical threat. And I feel like his game of all the tight ends in this class will probably translate the easiest to the NFL early. Now, tight end, and I guess I should have led with this, we've gotten a little bit spoiled with Brock Bowers. Sometimes it does take time for guys to get going. Trey McBride being an example of that. He didn't do anything his first year. Then obviously he explodes in late year 2, and then last year was the tight end 2 on the year, and now he's got his huge contract. But sometimes it does take tight ends time to develop. But if there is a guy who I see popping early, it's gonna be Tyler Warren. He's projected by most people to be the tight end 1 off the board in the NFL draft. He's gonna be the tight end 1 most likely in your rookie drafts. I'm guessing he's gonna be when he. Let's say, and I don't even know if this is a bad landing spot. Let's say he goes to like the Colts, which is going to be a mid-first round real life pick. Like, I think he's instantly in the conversation of the 106, 107 area, which is great. You're going to have a tight end going that are like O.J. Howard. I think went around that pick when his rookie year. He was the first tight end off the board. T.J. Hawkinson was pick 8. I don't think either guy goes in the top 10, but still. Really, really, really great draft capital. We're projecting he's going to get really, really, really good prospect. He's got an outstanding prospect profile, especially with that junior season. So, yeah, really, really excited for Tyler Warren. My top pick at tight end. But there is a second tight end who is projected to go in the first round. I could see it's Colston Loveland, who's my tight end too. I could see him taking maybe a little bit more time to develop. Uh, I don't. Blocking is a really big part for tight ends, and obviously that's not something that I am an incredible analyst of or anything like that. So harder to determine from my perspective of like how much is this guy going to be able to stay on the field because blocking is so important for tight ends for that ability to stay out there. But Colston Loveland, the people that I read say he's a little hard to judge as a blocker. He's a little bit small, can get pushed around. I mean, still not small. He's like 6'6", 250, so he's not small. But sometimes he gets pushed around a little bit. However, it's his pass catching that he looks really, really strong in. Now, he doesn't consistently demand targets like Loveland, which is the knock, which is why I've got him, or then Warren does. I'm sorry, I'm getting my words mixed up. Doesn't demand as many targets as Warren, which is why I've got him obviously below him. But he's more fluid than Warren is. Like, he's got really good routes, better routes than Warren. He's very athletic and smooth when he catches the ball. He's a really good hands catcher, which I like that a lot. Doesn't demand as many targets, but also a little bit different offense in Michigan. And it's a different situation in general. So you can't make one-to-one comparisons there. He had 235 yards his freshman year, 649, then 582. But his targets went up every year with 27, 62, then 82 targets. Hard to judge a tight end purely based off stats because, like I said, Kyle Pitts' best year was 770 yards and 12 touchdowns. Again, I know Kyle Pitts is the butt of a lot of jokes now, but let's not forget he did have 1,000 yards as a rookie in the NFL. So he's still producing. Like, he still had that one great season. A lot of stuff has gone wrong for him. It remains to be seen what he ends up being. But I don't judge tight ends purely off of the stats. You've got to watch a little bit of the tape, and then draft capital is going to determine so much for these guys. So those are the main two tight ends. So I guess you don't want to say like, well, it's a great class based on those two guys. There are other guys that I really like in this draft. My personal favorite third tight end, and I'm not going to get super in depth with the later tight ends. You've got my personal favorite third one would be Harold Fannin, just because his tape and stats are ridiculous. I mean, 150 targets, 117 catches, 1,550 yards, 10 touchdowns. Yak machine. Harold Fannin at Bowling Green. Now, granted, it's Bowling Green. It's not incredible competition, but still, he looks like a bigger Deebo Samuel to me. Like, he's kind of like Jaheim Bell, where he just get him the ball and he'll make stuff happen. His 4.63 second 40-yard dash disappointed some people. I'm not really going to stop or judge him based on that and say yes or no just because he ran a 4.63. Bucky Irving ran a 4.45. Or, I'm sorry, a 4.55. And people freaked out about him. He didn't have a very high relative athletic score, so people just completely wrote him off. And now look what happened. Not saying that Harold Fannin's going to be Bucky Irving, but at the same time, you can't completely just toss numbers aside and say, oh, well, he didn't test incredible here. I still think Harold Fannin, based on his tape, stats, and all that other stuff, really could be good. There's also Ferguson from Oregon, who I really like. So overall, still a really great tight ends outside of the top two. But the fact, to me, that we're looking at two tight ends probably going in the first round just really solidifies this as one of the stronger classes you're going to see at tight end. So really excited there. Yeah, I think that's all I got at tight end. So I'm going to jump to quarterback. Quarterback, so much is going to matter about what the NFL tells us. I've said this every single year heading into the rookie draft that I don't trust myself to analyze quarterbacks. Now, I'm going to give you some opinions on these guys that I've got. Some guys I like more, some guys I like less. But I really just kind of blindly trust the NFL scouts because so much is based on like seeing the intangibles, like all that stuff goes into quarterbacks that you and I just can't see when we're watching highlights or film on YouTube or things like that. We can see some stuff. We can see athleticism, arm strength, things like that. But it's so hard to decide or figure out if a guy is going to translate. And so much obviously depends on the situation that they walked into. Like, Patrick Mahomes goes to Kansas City with the 10th overall pick. Like, he wasn't even the top quarterback in his class, but he goes into that situation with the coach who knows how to work with him, things like that. Like, would Patrick Mahomes have been as good, if he had gone number one, like Mitch Trubisky did to the Bears? Who's to say? We don't know for sure, but I'm going to assume at least not to the degree he's had because of the situation, the coaching, everything like that. Same thing with Josh Allen going to the Bills. They work with him, they develop him, they put him in what he has now. Remember, the first 2 years, Josh Allen was not a very good NFL quarterback. So it's so hard for us to decide. So I kind of just look at what the NFL tells me, and that's how I'm going to decide what quarterbacks I like the most, with the exception of rushing upside, which is where we'll get into it with the last guy I've got here. So, number one, I've got Cam Ward. We'll see. He's supposed to be the top quarterback in the class. It's been a great, story with Cam Ward, 0-star prospect. He's worked his way up, bet on himself, and it's paid off. Like, he's going to make a lot of money. He's going to go first round in the NFL draft, probably top 10, which is really exciting. He has some rushing upside. He had, I think, 200 yards this last season at Miami. Got a big arm. We'll see how he can translate. He trusts his arm a little bit too much sometimes. His accuracy can sometimes be a little wonky, but we'll see. I've got him quarterback one because the NFL is telling me, hey, we like this guy the most. We're going to take him one. At quarterback two, Josh likes this guy a little bit more than I do, so kind of a little hit or miss there. But Shedeur Sanders, the guy's gritty. He's seems very intelligent when he's on the field. He, can make the right reads. He's the techniques. Like, he does all the technical stuff correct. Now, we will see when it translates, because I've seen him he holds the ball a lot. He'll take some sacks. He's slender, and he has not played against high-level competition, and that's my knock on him. I think Josh reads a little bit less into that than I do, but it's still something to warrant. But hey, again, if the NFL is telling me, hey, we like this guy, we're going to take him with a top 10 pick, then I'm going to be right there with you, and I'm going to say, okay, maybe I don't like him as much as quarterbacks in other classes, but I'll still take him, with a mid to late first round rookie pick, because he's he's going to get 2 to 3 years starting, because that's what happens when a guy gets drafted top 10. You're guaranteed 2 to 3 years of a starting quarterback. So, yes, that is a player that you're going to want in Superflex. Quarterback 3, I don't know how to feel about this guy. I'm getting a little high on him, if I'm being honest. It's Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. Now, he transferred to Ole Miss. He didn't start there. I think he started at Southern Cal, then went to Ole Miss. Now, full disclaimer, I fully understand the worry about Ole Miss quarterbacks because of Lane Kiffin's system. It seems every quarterback who goes to Ole Miss throws for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns a year. It happens every time. So it's hard to say if he'll be able to translate. I'm seeing a whole lot of buzz that Jackson Dart is going to go now in the first round. There's teams looking at him like the Steelers, maybe even higher than the Steelers pick. And so once again, I personally kind of like Jackson Dart, but I also wouldn't be, if from my own personal perspective, I wouldn't be spending a first round pick on him in the real NFL, because I don't trust Ole Miss quarterbacks. I don't trust I don't trust Lane Kiffin to produce an actual NFL quarterback. He's great for college, but we'll see how he translates the pros. But the guy's got a big arm. He can make huge plays with that down the field. We've seen some truly NFL caliber throws from him at Ole Miss. So we'll see. And the rushing upside is sneaky with Jackson Dart. I actually like it. Shedeur Sanders, now, understand college takes sack yardage against your rushing numbers. So Shedeur Sanders had negative rushing yards every year he started at quarterback. Jackson Dart actually has more rushing upside based on the numbers than Cam Ward does. He had 614 yards, 389 yards, and 495 yards his sophomore, junior, and senior season, all were at Ole Miss because he started. So that's actually really interesting if he goes in the first round to a team that's, again, the NFL's telling me this guy's good and we want him. That's really interesting to me. So I'm actually kind of becoming in on Jackson Dart. We'll see how the actual NFL draft plays out. But I'm interested. You've got my attention. And lastly, Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe could end up being my top ranked quarterback in this class, like legitimately, because rushing upside trumps everything else. I don't even need to tell you about Jalen Milroe's rushing upside because you know if you've seen anything from him at Alabama, the guy can run like a gazelle. Do I think Jalen Milroe is a good quarterback? Absolutely not. I watched enough of him at Alabama. I have seen him slug to beat UAB and teams like that when you're the starting quarterback at Alabama. That's sad. It was painful to watch. Like, how is Alabama losing to these teams? They always end up winning somehow, but like it hurt me to watch. I do not think Jalen Milroe is a good quarterback, but I said the same thing about Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts started at Alabama, struggled, eventually got replaced by Tua, goes to Oklahoma, and I say, oh, Oklahoma, it's a system. I don't trust Jalen Hurts in the NFL. The Eagles go out there and take him with a second round pick. He's got rushing upside, so you've got to bet on him a little bit. And now look where we are. Again, Jalen Hurts is probably an outlier in that scenario, but still, with the rushing upside, you have to take that into account. You can't just completely brush it off. So I've got Jalen Milroe at QB4, and there's a realistic chance if a team goes out there like, and I don't think this will happen, but say Cleveland decides to take Jalen Milroe with their second round pick, I've got to be in on him. I have no choice but to be in on him with his rushing upside and a team saying, "Hey, we're willing to take a shot on this guy." Again, it can kind of be like an Anthony Richardson situation. I don't think Anthony Richardson is a good quarterback. I don't think Jalen Milroe is a good quarterback. But if they start in the NFL, you better believe they're going to be on my starting fantasy team because of that rushing upside. It trumps everything. So Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe are the quarterback rankings. Obviously, I would take Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and Jackson Dart over Jalen Milroe. But I do not think I would be shocked if a year from now, I don't even know what's going to happen. But let's say the Browns trade for Kirk Cousins and then draft Jalen Milroe, and things don't work out with Kirk. And now Jalen Milroe is the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I don't think he's very good, but if he's running, I'm gonna throw him out there. So I think that about wraps it up. We're at 23 minutes. Like I said, not going to be as long an episode because it's just me. I've never been a super long-winded person, but that's the basis of our quarterbacks and tight ends. Not super. It's not going to be super deep. It never is with these positions, except for last year at quarterback where you had six that go in the top 12, which was fascinating. But this year, you got four guys at quarterback you need to keep your eye on. You've got two guys for sure at tight end that you need to watch, and then a couple other guys like Ferguson, Fannin to keep your eye on late. But still, I feel like having two tight ends in a class that warrant potentially going in first rounds of rookie drafts is a big deal. Normally, it's just one. You normally have one guy you're keeping an eye on, like it's either Kyle Pitts or Brock Bowers or somebody like that. And then now we've got two. And then I could see Loveland jumping over Tyler Warren. I don't have it in my personal, like I think Tyler Warren is better. He's more athletic. He's more explosive. He's more versatile. Like I could see them using him a little bit like Brock Bowers. Not saying he is Brock Bowers, but he's very, very athletic. I think a little bit more of a weapon than Loveland is. But if Tyler Warren goes to a worse situation or something like that, and Loveland goes to like a Denver or a Chargers, which people mock him to a lot, I could see myself taking him over them just because of situation. And I think Loveland is that good on his own to where you've got two tight ends that can flip flop and they're both great. It's an outstanding class. And I'm not, again, at tight end, you're not betting on him year one, but still having a guy like that you can get, sit on your roster and develop, that's something really, really, really valuable for your fantasy team. And it's outstanding that we have two locked in for sure guys that are, I would say, a 95% chance both of them go in the first round. So super, super exciting. Really looking forward to the rookie draft. Really looking forward to the NFL draft. Looking forward to more episodes once we get the guys back on. We'll probably start doing, some mock drafts with rookies. We'll look at, PFF mocks, things like that. Look at potential landing spots where some guys go. Let's see where, how we think it plays out. Obviously, our our draft predictions always get busted every single year, but hey, it's fun to think about. We have nothing else to do to the NFL draft, so let's get into it. But yeah, that's all I've got for you today. If you enjoyed it, let us know. Leave us a like, comment, and review, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.